Hello and
Welcome.
welcome to RV to Freedom Live. I'm Carenza,
I'm Brandon.
and today we're going to talk about three common fears specifically about full-time RVing. So we're going to get into that in a second, but we just want to give you a little introduction of who we are. So like we said, we're Carenza and Brandon, and we're known as RV to Freedom. We do have the RV to Freedom Facebook group, and some of you may be watching through there. So hello, other Freedom RVers. And we're here to help other people get on the road and do what we are doing. Hi, Brigitte and John. Hi,
Nice.
Great. I'm glad you're here.
And so we are RV to Freedom. We've been on the road for 4
Hi,
years.
Susan. Sorry.
We're starting our 5th year on the road in January, and we love it out here. And we want to help people get out here and be successful at it because, there's a lot of things to learn, and there's a lot to go through to get your life from sticks and bricks. That's what we call people who live in houses, to living full-time in an RV on the road.
All right. So in that order, we actually did create a course called Roadmap to Full-Time RVing, and we're celebrating the launch of it this week with the lives every day. So that's why we're having an everyday live instead of once a week.
Right.
So we're coming in and doing it a lot. And I know we've got some more people joining us, a lot of people from the group, because we're pretty happy with the group and the way it's going. Everybody's great in there and so helpful.
Yeah, we want to keep the group like that. We want to make sure it's a place where you can ask any questions you have, and we'll answer. Everybody else will help answer, but we want to make sure it's a real nice place for you to come in, ask your questions, and get your answers.
Some of this is blocked for me, but I know we have Daniel and Jen and Yvette.
Yep.
Yvette.
And Susan's here.
And we've got a couple people who are already joining in the course.
Exactly.
Susan and Brigitte are both in there, so that's great. All right, and just to let you know too, if you guys want to learn more about what we're talking about, the course, you can go to roadmaptofulltimerving.com. There is a pinned comment on this post right now if you want to go there and see it. And other than that, why don't we just get started and start talking about some common fears? So I mean, we had some going into it too when we took off, before we took off.
Yeah, one of the big fears that people have is leaving friends and family behind. It's you're about to set off and go all over the country, and everybody that you've grown up with, or a lot of people live in the same areas their families are. You feel a little bit guilty, and you worry about them, especially if you have older parents or something, and you're worried, what if something happens? So,
or if you're just really entrenched in your community, and that's kind of where you gain your strength. Not like anybody we know that's on this live right now.
Right.
But there are some ways to deal with it, and we thought we'd go into some of that because it is a big, scary step, especially if you have lived around them your whole life. That's a big step.
One of the great things, though, in today's world is social media. There's so many ways to stay connected to people, to let people see where you are, but also don't forget to talk to them, because we all love to get out here and show our families everything we're doing that's cool, but sometimes we forget to actually talk to them. So there's you can show people what you're doing through Instagram, which is a great way to share photos. You can write a blog. Tons of people start blogs, and basically just as a way to journal where they've been. By the time you're out here, you're going to see so much cool stuff. You're going to start forgetting things you've done. So having a blog or something or an Instagram feed where you can look back and see what you've done, and you can share that with others is really helpful. And Facebook, you guys are all here. You already know the power of Facebook, but use Facebook to stay connected to your friends and family.
It helps me. I actually haven't lived around most of my family for now most of my life, but being able to see what my cousins are doing and their kids, I feel a little more connected with them, being able to see that and have that kind of interaction and comment and talk to them that way too. Because even if we talk, I don't always see all the photos.
Right.
So at least I can see when someone gets their black belt and all of that.
Yeah.
And it helps.
But also don't forget the old ways.
And so how many of you, call and talk to your family all the time. Let us know in the comments, give us a yes, or shoot one of those thumbs up emojis across the screen there. Let us know what's happening.
So don't forget the old ways. And there's new versions of the old ways, but don't forget to pick up the phone. It's easy to pick up the phone. It's easy to FaceTime people. I do that with my parents all the time.
We do it with our niece and nephew, which is great because they see our face. And so they really, after, getting to spend time with them, we can keep that connection, and it's not just a voice that a 3-year-old might not remember.
Exactly. And I saw it firsthand. I mean, I haven't been home in a year. And so we have, real young niece and nephew. But because we FaceTime so much, when I showed up, they weren't shy towards me. They knew who I was. They knew what I did. And, it was easy for us just to kind of pick up and play around and have fun and goof off. And they weren't hiding and shy. And I wasn't like the weird uncle that lives in a car that just showed up.
Yeah. And I see Susan said she calls her mom every Sunday because she doesn't use the internet. And my mom does use the internet, but actually we have a kind of standing call on Sundays too.
Right.
I've had that for a long time with my parents. So.
And Prince's grandmother doesn't use the internet. One of the things we do with Instagram that's really cool is there's a service called Chat Books. And every time you have 60 pictures on Instagram, they automatically print them out, bind them in a book, and mail it to them. So we have both of our grandparents set up on that. And it's even great for us when we go to visit. They have all these little stacks of books from our adventures, and we'll pick up the books and flip through them because it's nicer than scrolling through an Instagram feed.
Yeah, she loves it.
Right.
She wants to be kept up on the adventures, but she doesn't get to see them online. So that has been the greatest thing for her. And every time she gets a book, I get a call and she tells me how much she loves it. And she hasn't even got to go through everything yet, but she's going to go through and look at every page. So it's one of the best things that's worked for us. Does anybody here use that?
It's called Chat Books.
Chat Books.
Chat Books, yeah. And there's a lot of other services that do similar things.
So let's see. I was just glancing through the comments here. We got some people, talk to their sister once a week. Oh, Brigitte's family's in Denmark, so.
Oh, yeah.
That was a harder one.
That's a tougher one. And John has a, issue with a daughter that's pregnant. Even though they're close, it's still inconvenient for her to come out. That's life. I mean, RV life is fun, but it's still regular life. So you're still going to have the same issues that you do at home. And you have to make more of an effort. I think on our part, we have to make more of an effort to contact them because, the rest of your friends and family, they're still back there. They're still living their lives. And we're the crazy ones.
Right.
So it's kind of on us. But
I saw Jen too said she's terrible about actually making phone calls. And we know she's a very social person and likes to be with her family. So what do you do, Jen? Are you on social media with them most of the time until you go back and visit? I'm curious now, which kind of brings us to something. We just mentioned Jen there and going back and visiting, is that she does plan that. She plans to go back and visit and spend the holidays with family. And you can do that. You have your wheels now. So why not just pick up and go see them?
Right.
When we started RVing, that was big on our itinerary, was going to visit family, because we didn't live near them for years.
Right. So we were limited to Thanksgiving holiday or Christmas holiday whenever we could take time off of work. And then you're only limited to a few days at a time and you're traveling the same time everybody else is. And it's stressful and it's tough. But now, we'll go spend 3 weeks with my family around Christmas and we'll spend 3 weeks with her family around Thanksgiving, or we'll go during the summer. We can, if it fits our schedule, we can go whenever we want for as long as we want. And now her mom has a place that's got a big enough driveway for us. So
right. But we get to spend extended time with them. So we're still working when we go visit because we're working while we're on the road, but we get to spend a little longer time. So they're working too. So it doesn't really matter, but we get to see our niece and nephew, and I have a new nephew too, but our niece and nephew that will really remember us because we spend extended time with them. So it's planning that kind of time to go in and see. It can be a great asset. There is one note that some neighbors that we just met recently even brought up, and about making visits, time for visits. They just started, and they had like 2 months, they were leaving, and then in 2 months they knew they were going to be back because they had something planned. And she actually said she wouldn't do that again because that first 2 months she was just focused all about going back and that she was going to get back because she missed her friends and she wanted to be there. And
yeah, it was harder for her to kind of make, I wouldn't say break ties, but make distance.
That separation, understand that the RV and traveling was her home now. So she was so focused on it that it was too much of a focus that she couldn't actually get into RV life. But once they went and visited, she was able to make a cleaner getaway the second time, knowing that there wasn't something planned just a couple months.
Yeah, she knew she'd be back eventually, but she didn't know when. So it was time for her to get on with her own life. Right.
So maybe it's not something that you want to plan like within the next couple months because you might be too focused on it. But knowing that you'll be back for holidays or something can help alleviate that stress of not being around them.
Yeah.
Not worry.
So other things you can do to help avoid this, this feeling of leaving your friends and family is plan a trip together. You're going to be going to all these interesting places. Have them come visit you. They don't have to stay in your RV. They can stay in the hotel, but they could stay in the RV if you have the space for it. I mean, it makes it a lot easier on them because all of a sudden the vacation's not so expensive anymore because, if they don't mind sleeping on a couch or a bunk, or if you don't mind sleeping on the couch and giving them the bed, it's a nice way, to share the experience with them and not, just be out all by yourself.
Yeah. My mom has come out and met us a couple times, 2 or 3 times already, where somewhere that's kind of far for her, but somewhere she'd like to go visit, or we had family, in Vancouver actually. So she came out there and stayed with them, and we got to visit her and the rest of my family and everyone out there. And it's been great because she gets to go on vacation with someone, and we're going to those destinations anyway. Yeah. So it makes the visits more often, too, because it's not like we get out to see them all the time, because when you're traveling, you might not want to go all the way across the country. So that way we get to see her a couple times a year at least.
And it's nice, you get to play tourist a little more, because when you live in the RV, it becomes your life and it's kind of normal. And, you could easily go through a town and not even go see anything because you're busy doing other things. And, having a tourist come out and forcing you to go be a tourist, it can be exhausting, but you can, you can have fun together and you can share a memory. So that's always nice.
We will be honest, we're not used to vacations anymore. It's just kind of part of life. So that whole idea of you got to cram everything in a week, it gets a little overwhelming now. Yeah. We have to remember.
Yeah. So John has a family get together where they try to get together every summer. And that's great. Somewhere centrally located. Somewhere that's easy for everybody to get to. I'm trying to convince my brother to do the same. One year come here wherever I am, and 1 year I'll go to where you are, and we'll just alternate. But that way we can at least spend more time together, because it can be a little weird, living your life separate from the rest of your family. But you got wheels; you can always circle back.
Right. So another thing to think about and keep with you is keeping an emergency fund so that you can get back home what, is home for you. Home can turn into your RV.
Yeah, get back to your hometown.
To your family when needed. If there's some kind of emergency there, or maybe it's even just you and you're really just homesick and you need to visit.
You just need to take some time and go put the RV in storage and just go, or leave your spouse or partner behind and go.
Right. But if you can create that little travel fund, that little slush fund that just for that, that can help also alleviate some worry that, what if something happens and I need to get back? Yeah. If you keep that there and you don't use it for anything else, then if you have an emergency, something happens there, you'll be able to get home.
Yep. And there's a lot of great credit cards out there now that can help you build points for airlines too. So pay for all that fuel. You're going to be burning a lot of fuel. Yeah. Pay for your fuel, pay for your campgrounds and everything on these cards, and then pay them off immediately so you're not racking up debt. earn the points, and then you'll have those too if you need to make an emergency trip home, or if you just need to go home just because you just want to go home. And that's totally fine. And I guess that leads to the next thing is don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty that you need to go home, and don't feel guilty that you're outliving the life that you chose.
Right.
You know? I mean, everybody chooses their own life, and you know, you should be.
If you want to travel in an RV and this is your dream and you're doing it, don't feel guilty that other people aren't and they're not out on the road with you. It can be something you think about, and you're like, oh, I wish they were here. You know, they can't come out. But
or, you know, what do I look like being out here having fun when they're back there working? But everybody chooses their own path in life, and you know, all you can do is live yours the best way you know how. And you know, don't feel guilty about it, but also, you know, don't feel guilty that you need to go home or you need to spend time at home. That's whatever. Right.
If you need to go back for a few months to help with something and that's important to you, do it. Don't look at other RVers and think, oh, well, I need to keep traveling.
Yeah, I'm a bad RVer if I'm not in a new state every week. You know, it's RVing is whatever you want it to be. If you want to sit still all year in your RV, fine. Right. You know, we spent 3 months at her mom's house because we wanted to, you know, and that's what's great about it.
Yeah. And we've even talked to some people recently. They have, they left, you know, soon after, right after the kids graduated from school. And the only thing they've thought about is they know if when they start having kids, that they're going to think, well, you guys are going to come back, right? And I'm like, no, this is what we want to do.
Exactly.
So they've already, you know, said that and they are thinking that, but we'll see how that goes. But that's one of those things. They're not feeling guilty about it. And so if they want to they're talked about, you know, they can have the kids come visit, you know, not when they're babies, they probably won't send them out by themselves, but you know, they can take them on camping trips too.
Right.
So, or they could all meet at Disney World.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Susan has the same thing. She has 3 adult children, and you know, she's worried. It's hard for her not to have a home base, and we get that. But you know, our parents moved when we were in college, so you know, when we went back, the home wasn't even the same home we knew. It was their house now, and that's what RVing is. It's like the RV is their house. You know, they'll
because really it can be a little worrisome depending on your child and how they feel about how connected they are, I guess, to their home, how sentimental, but really you're home for them, not the house. And so if you come back and you visit or they come out to stay with you, I mean, they get to have adventures too if they come out and stay with you.
You may inspire them to go live in a van down by the river. I don't know if that's the inspiration you want to give them, but I know we've
to follow your dreams, follow their dreams. You know,
I know we've inspired my parents because you know they had the big house and everything, and then they see us living smaller and smaller, and they're like, we don't need all this stuff, and they start downsizing, and now they're moving in. They're actually moving into an apartment, but it's where they want to be. You know, it's on the water, near the ocean, and so they're going to be happier, I think.
So Susan's parents moved when she was in college too.
Yeah.
All of our parents moved when we were in college. They're all like, whatever, we want this instead. So last point about this, because we need to move on here. We've spent a lot of time, is also just to make new traveling friends. That helps, you know, ease that community that you felt like you lost. I mean, you were still connected to them. You can still make calls and do all the things we talked about. But, you know, when you're out on the road and you start making friends on the road, then at least you have that community built around you. And we are more social now than we were when we were living stationary.
Exactly. And the RV life is easy. Everybody, you know, is open to meeting people. You can attend things like rallies or convergences, like the big RV clubs. They all have rallies. There's rallies for every owner's group. So if you have a Tiffin, there's a Tiffin rally. And rallies are great because everybody goes there with the intention of talking to other people.
Yes.
So you just walk right up to someone and say, hey, who are you? Where are you from? That's what a rally's for. And then you meet people and you find your tribe, because there's, you know, just in life, there's millions of kinds of people.
Right. You have an automatic connection just living in RV. So it's the easy icebreaker. And we actually met up with a bunch of RVers yesterday.
Yep.
And part of them, we had one couple we actually met at a convergence / rally thing. Another was actually through this course.
Yeah.
And then the rest
Another
of
one
them
found us on Instagram or Facebook. So
yeah, both of them found us on Instagram.
And one of them was just our neighbors.
Yeah.
We just, they're from Indiana. They have the Indiana plates. Prince's from Indiana. So they just
But honestly, that started on Instagram too, because they recognized the picture I posted was here.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Behind the park. So they're like, "Hey, we're in Tucson too. You guys even want to do something?" So, it's not stalking. We all do it.
Yeah, and it may be slow at first once you find your footing on the road, but it snowballs. Once you meet one person, they're like, "Oh, you should meet this person," or "Oh, you're in the same town as that person. Why don't you go meet them because they're cool too," or whatever. And it builds really quickly.
So thank you, Elizabeth. Said another great topic. Yeah. And John said he doesn't have as much guilt, but his family has a perception of that lifestyle is more like homeless, which is some people do. There's a lot of that goes
We like
around.
to say houseless, but not homeless.
Right.
Home is where home is where you park it.
Home.
Or or home is where the Wi-Fi is. But yeah, it's our home. And it's a little weird when you go home because your family's like, come stay in the house. Come stay in the extra bedroom. You don't want to stay out there. I'm like, no, this is my bedroom. It's got my TV and my clothes. That's
my bed. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
I like it.
So the next big fear that people have is breakdowns.
And so who has this fear? Let us know in the comments and send one of those, wow faces across the screen if you are worried about breaking down or repairs, because it is a common fear that a lot of people have.
And it makes sense. I mean, you are relying on a vehicle, and so you don't want the vehicle to break down. And that's just totally normal. And no matter how nice the RV is, I don't care if you spent $2 million on it, it can break down. It's a mechanical thing built by people and things break. So the best thing you can do is to be prepared. Just assume you're going to have a breakdown. Yeah, David here, he had a tire blowout. That's always...
Or they're worried about it.
Or they're worried about it, yeah. And yes, the tires are the foundation of the house. You're not going anywhere without tires. And so, yeah, tire blowouts are a big fear. Repairs can also be a fear. So be
prepared, because that it can happen to anyone. It can happen to the most seasoned RVer. It can happen to anyone anytime. I hate to say that, but it is possible. But there are some things, and no matter how nice your RV is, no matter how much you pay for it. Oh, okay. Yeah. But there are some things that you can do, and you should realize. I mean, one is the chassis is usually pretty reliable.
Yeah, I mean, the chassis are usually built on an assembly line, just like all other cars. So they're as reliable as cars as long as you take care of them.
Right. And that right there is, you hit the next one.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. It's up.
Sorry.
Oh, keeping up on regular maintenance, because yes, if you keep up on it, the stuff that can happen, you don't keep up on it. Yeah.
Sorry. You'll reduce the chances of a breakdown.
Right.
And that's, keeping up. If you're worried about tires, keeping up with the age of the tires. Make sure they're not 5 to 7 years old or older, because RV tires tend to wear out due to the sun and the UV rays, and not due to wear because we don't put as many miles on them as we do with a car, or they're built tougher. They're built to go many more miles than RVers do. And also make sure you keep them properly inflated for your weight.
And you should be checking that every time you go to leave. Every time you go to drive, you should check the inflation of the tires and make sure they are properly inflated. And that also helps with tire blowouts.
Yep. And also a tire pressure monitoring system. I was very reluctant for a long time because they're expensive, but we had a situation where if we didn't have it, we would have had a blowout. And it's just a nice peace of mind. And also it saves you from crawling around on the ground checking all your tires. You turn it on while you're getting ready to leave. It takes a couple minutes to sync up, and then boom, you check your tire pressures and you're good. You leave.
Yeah.
If you have a problem, it'll beep at you, and then you go fix the problem. And it's just a simple, easy thing to do. It costs money, but it's so worth it in the long run.
Right. It's like insurance. I mean, it won't stop everything because it's alerting you to an issue. But even if it gives you that few seconds of time to like
slow down a little bit or pull over or just
right.
brace yourself, it helps. It helps a lot.
Yeah. And it definitely helps with any kind of slow leak, which we had a tool stuck in our tire. So it was slowly leaking, and it could have really been a disaster if we had not known about it.
And you'll see in the comments, buy a compressor, go on YouTube if you need to fix something, everything that ever needs to be fixed, there's a video for it. So that comes to the next thing is carry tools and know how to use them, or carry tools and watch YouTube and figure out how to use them, because it's an RV. It's a manufactured home on top of a bus chassis, or it's a manufactured home on a trailer chassis. It's going to shake itself. It's going to rattle. One of my favorite tools is this little screwdriver I got at Home Depot that's got a Phillips head and a flat head, and then I can flip it around and it's got a bigger one. But I can go around and tighten up every screw that comes loose in this RV. And we have,
and that's cheap too. That is a cheap.
Yeah, this is like $5 at the cash register. It's my second one I'm on, but they're just simple. We keep it right up in front in the dash, in between those, and something shakes itself loose, we go tie it down. But yeah, if you can fix things yourself, you could get yourself out of a jam and keep yourself moving. And also, there are roadside assistance programs out there, but just as in car roadside assistance programs, you call the person and they may show up in half an hour. They may show up in 2 hours. You don't know. So anything you can take care of yourself that can keep you moving is great. And like we said, the chassis, the wheels, the engine, all that stuff is usually pretty reliable if you take care of it. It's the house stuff, the water heaters and the fridges and the water pumps and stuff. That stuff can be annoying and it can break, but that doesn't keep you off, keep you from moving. So that's nice. But then, have a good roadside assistance. Yeah.
And can I just ask you guys too, because I'm trying to keep an eye on comments here and have it up. Are you seeing "be prepared" on the slide or like underneath us, or does it say roadside assistance? Because we're seeing what we put up is roadside assistance, but that's not what I'm seeing on my phone. So I'm just curious if we're having an issue. But roadside assistance is it's a nice comfort to have. And if you are out in the middle of nowhere, I think Brigitte asked that, it will come and get you. Now, they are seeing "be prepared."
Okay, well, I'll turn it. Just keep going.
Thank you, guys. So every roadside assistance program has its goods and bads. Right. Good and bad to it. And you'll hear great stories about all of them, and you'll hear horrible stories about all of them.
And it really comes down to where you break down, because they have contracts with different people all over the place. And if you're near a city, maybe they can get you someone faster. If you're in the middle of nowhere, maybe they can't. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the city's too busy and the guy in the middle of nowhere can get you there quicker. But they work. They're good to have.
Right. Yeah. Right. So sorry,
there's some different, so some of the popular ones you'll hear are CoachNet, Good Sam, FMCA, and AAA. But also check with your insurance company, because your insurance company on your RV may have a roadside assistance plan. And sometimes it's good to have more than one. I wouldn't go out and pay for a lot, but if the roadside assistance on your insurance is pretty cheap, then, maybe have both.
It might be worth it to have a secondary one that you can call in case the first one is taking too long, or said that it'll be 4 hours to get out and someone else will be 2 hours. Right. And yes, they all subcontract. It's not like they have their own vendors.
No, yeah, so, they just call local people that are part of their system. So you may be able to call someone yourself and get them there faster. Right. But the cost of a roadside assistance plan, can be around $150 to $250 a year. Yeah. An RV tow will cost you, $500 to $700, depending on how far you're going, or even more. So one service call with roadside assistance is well worth it. We've used them to have them come out and change tires for us. Fortunately, we were in an RV park at the time, so it was pretty easy.
All right. let's go on. And the last thing, oh, I forgot, is not showing. So give yourself some extra time. If you need to get somewhere by a certain date, if you have a flight to catch or a wedding to attend, then give yourself some extra time to get there, because something might happen along the way. Little things.
Well, it seems like whenever you have somewhere you have to be, that's when everything goes wrong. That's when you get delayed. So we always give ourselves a couple extra days if we have a flight, so we get there early, and we schedule some extra days after the flight in case we're delayed coming home.
The flight's delayed. You never know.
So you don't want to be having an RV park call you up and say, you got to move your RV, and be like, I'm not even here. So,
right.
Hey, Tyler, how's it going?
So just make sure you build in a few extra days. So we always make sure we're at the flight location at least 2 days beforehand, just to make sure that we get settled in somewhere, especially if like one of us is flying while the other one's staying. Everything's hooked up. We're there in time. And then we have the extra day to plan out, go buy anything at the store before we leave or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So fear number 3, and I'm sorry you're not going to see this up on the screen. Storms and other weather. So who here is afraid of storms, or storms in an RV? Maybe you're afraid of storms. Maybe you're just afraid about it in an RV. Just shoot us a
scared face, I guess.
Yeah, or like an angry face. Shoot us the angry face across the screen there, or just put in the comments, me, if it's some kind of weather there, or if it's not a storm and we say other weather. Maybe it's more hurricanes or something like that.
Or tornadoes. That's one of my big concerns.
Tornadoes in an RV. Not good.
Yeah.
So, let's get into that.
Susan's terrified of tornadoes, and Bridget's driving in the snow. Yeah. Those are things to be worried about in an RV. But they're things you can deal with. They're not that bad. One of the first things is, and I don't know if you can see these because I don't know if they're showing up right or not. Is to stay informed of the local weather. And one of the first things you should do if you're in a place that's got strong weather is find out what county you're in, because every time the weather alerts come across the radio or the television, they go by county. And we travel all the time, and so you pull in somewhere and you're like, which county?
I don't know what county. I might know the city, and might.
We're lucky we know the day of the week.
Right.
So that's.
But the county is a hard one. So I always try to find out that county, so that when they talk about the weather on the news or wherever, what county you're in, because it's really hard when you're traveling. You often don't. And you don't want to be looking it up when it's a problem. Exactly.
And Jen got caught in a tornado their second week on the RV, second week on the road. And they thought they were gonna die. So, and I saw terrified of earthquakes. Earthquakes are scary. They're not as scary in an RV though, because if you think about it, your RV is going through an earthquake every time you drive it down the road. You have a suspension underneath you, even in a travel trailer or anything, and so they can actually do fairly well, a lot better than a house that's built very rigid to the ground. And they're rare. They're really pretty rare. I mean, we've been in California a ton. We felt 2 minor earthquakes, and it feels like somebody's kind of wiggling your chair a little bit, and that's it. Yes, John said they lives in Oklahoma. They get it all.
You guys get it all. It's like you're in the middle of the country, so you get everything from all the sides. But you want to stay with local weather. So apps can help with that. There are a ton of weather apps. You can get like Weather Underground or the weather.com and AccuWeather.
One of our favorites is the Red Cross apps, because it'll actually send like a siren alert on your phone if there's a tornado nearby or severe storm. And you can even set other locations. So like if you want to set your home location, if you have a house or a rental property, or even just your family, it'll alert you if something's going on there. But apps are susceptible to internet.
You need cell coverage for them to work. You need to be able to pull the signal down. So if you get a weather radio, that will work all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty much the most reliable way.
And you can keep that in your RV. Now, of course, if you're not in your RV, you won't have it with you. So it's good to have the apps and the weather radio, but you can have the weather radio set to the channel all the time, and it will give you an alarm if something's happening. And the other apps we were just talking about, just the weather.com and all of that, I mean, those are good. You keep up on the local weather and pay attention to it, so you know if there are storms coming in or anything like that, so you can prepare. The Red Cross apps and the weather radio are going to tell you if there's an emergency.
Right. And I actually just yesterday, day before yesterday, we're in Tucson, Arizona. It doesn't rain. So I have my boots sitting outside, and then 2:00 in the morning, it starts raining and thundering and lightning. And, you know, that's another, we should have paid attention to the weather, but, you know, you get a little bit complacent, especially when you're somewhere where you don't expect weather. Another thing is to locate the storm shelters where you are, especially if you are in a severe weather prone area. Denver, Colorado, we were there, and we didn't realize, but they get tornadoes because they're right on the edge of Kansas.
Right. And randomly, there wasn't a storm or anything happening at the time when an alarm went off. But thankfully there, they have a storm shelter where they're in the restrooms are built with cinder blocks. So we had to pack up all the dogs and cats and go into the storm shelter. Now, state parks often have like the cinder blocks a lot because they're built to government standards. They're going to have something. Yeah. But not all private parks will. So you need to be able to locate your storm shelter. So you can ask the front desk. If you are boondocking, you need to know where it is. You can call the local police station and ask them.
Yeah, you can talk to the park rangers and stuff too. They'll be able to direct you, because a motor home is like a mobile home, and you all know the joke of, you know, the mobile home is where the tornado hits. Motor homes just, you know, or travel trailers, they're lightweight relatively, and they don't stand up to wind very well. So, you know, be ready to leave. Yeah. And if you're on the highway,
just pull off.
Yeah, there's no sense in driving.
Yeah, if it's bad enough you're questioning it, it's not just a light rain you feel comfortable with. If you're not comfortable, pull off. Yeah. There is no reason to put your life in danger.
Right. And you've got all your stuff with you, so just, you know, we've done it. We pulled off into a church parking lot, turned on the generator, turned on the microwave, made some lunch, and we just hung out for a while. And then the storm blew through, and, you know, we got back on the road. And that's, again, we gave ourselves extra time to get where we were going.
Right.
You know, you might lose a reservation. You might lose one day of a reservation at an RV park. So you might lose $45 or $60, but that's a lot better than, you know, having your RV fall over on its side.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, yes, I think John just said, don't take chances, arrive alive.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's not worth it, you know? And when you're in this lifestyle, you're not in this lifestyle to go, go, go. And you've got to get somewhere, you know, by all this time. You have to rush. That's not what it's about.
Right.
I mean, you can do that, but most of this lifestyle is about a little bit more relaxation, even if we're working. But we're still trying to put that little bit of relaxation in it. So,
right. And, you know, even though we do hope to follow the weather, because that's what we choose, we want to follow the weather, you're still going to have to drive on days that it's rainy. You're still going to have to deal with the cold because you can't control everything, or you're going to have to deal with the heat. That's another thing. So just be prepared. Be prepared to deal with things. And, you know, I think Randy said you can nail the tires to the ground. Will that help? I don't think that'll help too much, but, you know, yeah. Oh, you can. Okay. So I guess John teaches this stuff. He says, can you tell I teach this stuff? Because he's using all the catchphrases.
But it's good. Arrive alive. That is good. Yes. I like it. Yeah. Might have to use that. Yeah. When you do have a storm coming in or something, there are a couple of things that you can do just to be prepared. Bring in your awning is the biggest thing. Yes. If it's going to be windy, and, you know, if you are just leaving, a lot of times you want to bring an awning. Like if you're leaving and not going to be at your RV, because sometimes gusts will come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So you'd rather have that in and have to take it in and out rather than have it ripped off the side of your RV. And
it happens a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't take a lot for the wind to catch the awning the right way and just rip it right off or flip it up on top of your roof. And, you know, then it damages your roof or something else or the side of your RV. So, yeah, just bring it in. You know, when in doubt, bring it in. And we do that all the time. We'll put it out when we're out there. We bring it in when we're not out there. And it just saves a lot of trouble. Yeah. Sometimes people would even, Jen says, even if it's not windy, bring in your awning.
Yeah, when you leave.
Yeah, if you're not there to monitor your awning, just bring it in. And then sometimes in like severe winds.
When we do, I thought I just checked with Reggie asked if we bring it in every night, and we do. We bring in the awning every night because we have forgotten before and then woken up in the middle of the night and heard it go cocoon, cocoon. And it's like, oh my God, did we leave it out? Go run off and bring it in.
And our awning even has a wind sensor on it.
Yes.
If the wind doesn't hit it the right direction, the sensor doesn't trip. And even if it did trip, the gust could rip it off before the sensor would get it closed.
Yeah.
So don't rely on the technology. Just take it in. And then sometimes I don't think you need to do this all the time.
This is not something, to do all the time.
But in very severe winds, we'll even go as far as bringing in our slides. And mostly because we have the slide topper awnings, which are the small awnings that roll out over the slides. They help keep leaves off the top of the slides. But you can hear when the winds get going, those things start flapping. And the last thing we want is one of those to rip off.
Right.
So, it doesn't hurt much just to bring in the slide. It makes your RV a little more aerodynamic. I mean, as much as a box can be aerodynamic. And it helps, it's one more thing that I don't have to worry about ripping off that I'm going to have to fix before I leave.
It's not an everyday storm kind of thing. No. It's in more severe wind that you want to be aware of it. But
I think maybe 3 or 4 times in 4 years we've done that. Yeah, I saw Jen's comment. We've even one time we were parking out in a national grassland. So we're out in the open and we had 60-mile-an-hour winds hitting the broadside of the RV. And in that one rare situation, we even brought in the slides and we turned the engine on, rotated the RV so the front was facing the wind, and then put the jacks down just because it felt like it was just going to rock us.
We didn't want the broadside to the wind. And, we were kind of parked near the edge of a cliff.
Yeah. I don't think we would have gotten blown off, but it felt like we were going to.
Yeah, it just felt better just to turn it in and so that the broadside was not hitting the wind. Right. Or, well, whatever. I don't know. Oh, okay.
Close enough.
So, that was kind of extreme, and it's the only time we've done it.
Yeah.
So something else that you can do if you are in more severe weather. One time, for example, he wasn't even there. I had friends in the RV and they were having extreme lightning storms. It had started and it was when I first started too, and I had to look this up. And I had to run out and disconnect from shore power, your electricity, because you don't want the lightning to hit the ground near you and
come in through your electric cord and then fry everything.
Yeah.
So you can disconnect from the power post. Your RV has batteries and you can rough it for one night, if you have to.
Or a few hours.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just until the storm finishes. And this was, if there's a lot of lightning like that, it's just a precaution to take. Mm-hmm. It's better than having something blow, having it burn out. But and the one in Florida, I mean, that they showed a map on TV and the whole thing was lightning. It was crazy.
But also use common sense. I mean, if the lightning is nearby, the ground's wet, don't be out there playing around with electrical cords.
Right.
You don't
want to be out there.
Just tough it out. If your stuff gets fried, it gets fried. But if you can see it coming and it's not at you yet, run out there, pull the plug real quick, and store it in a bay so it's not just laying on the ground in the water. And, it can help. It can help because, there's surge protectors. We talk about those in the course about surge protectors to protect your RV, but they're not going to protect you from lightning. Lightning is too powerful. It'll jump the protector and get to you. So, it's just another little precaution to take. So maybe you don't burn up all your appliances.
Yeah.
And again, it's very rare. It's
very rare.
You shouldn't, this isn't something you need to be like, oh no, now I'm going to burn up my appliances. You don't need to do this
every time, but it's rare, but it's something to be aware of that you have that option.
Right.
And you should also just be ready to leave when you need to. Again, it's one of those things. Don't take your life in your own hands. Just be ready to go. There's a thing called a go bag or, called bug out bag. Mm-hmm. Just keep important documents, important things to you in there. So like We have extra medication. Dog spills are in there. Just thought about something.
We have extra medication for our dogs. We have extra leashes for our dogs in case we're running real quick. We can just grab them and go and not worry about where their leashes are.
Mm-hmm.
We have copies of our insurance documents. We have copies of our passports. Anything that we think,
if for something, if a tornado came and we needed to get out of this RV and the RV was blown away, what would we need?
Right. So we keep the bag. We keep it pretty much.
We keep it handy
by the driver's seat all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you can put it in the bedroom at night so that if you were to
go out the fire exit,
that you can grab it there
and you can
move it around.
Yeah, it's for anything. You get in an accident on the highway, you can grab it and get out quickly. You have a storm, a tornado, you need to get away from the RV quickly. You have a fire. Those are all things that happen in life. They're not just RV things. They happen to anybody in life. So it's something to have, and it's it's real helpful because you're not going to have time to run around and find everything.
And just a tip on that is use a waterproof bag for that.
Yeah.
Because if you're running out in a storm or something, you don't need everything to get wet in there.
So we use like a dry bag, like a kayaker would use, and it's not too big. We're not trying to take everything in the world. Maybe an extra pair of underwear.
Yeah, I think I have that stuffed in there.
And any kind of medications. If you're on a medication you need all the time, or if you have pets or children or family members that are on medications, make sure there's some extra in there. Make sure you check it every once in a while if things don't get expired or out of date.
Yes.
Yeah, John said the average lightning bolt carries around 10 million volts. So yeah, most surge protectors are not rated for 10 million volts.
No.
None of them can handle that.
No, nothing's expecting that.
Also, be ready for your pets to leave or your kids. Like when we were in Denver and it was a tornado area, we had cats and we had cat carriers. We went ahead and got the carriers out, went ahead and put the cats in the carriers, because if you're frantically trying to do things, the pets are going to freak out and then they're not going to cooperate. So you try to have things ready to go. And we would even do that when we were driving, is just have the cats in the carriers if they'll tolerate it. And then if you needed to leave for an emergency or whatever, you can grab the carriers and go. You're not trying to find a cat hidden underneath a bed or over a slide or something.
And when we're talking about tornadoes, it's just good to know tornado season. If you're not from the Midwest, you might not be familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
But spring is tornado season in Tornado Alley. It can happen other times of the year. It's just most prevalent during spring. So you want to watch everything kind of in the Midwest, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
John
Kansas,
is terrible with that.
Texas, Arkansas, all of that.
Yeah, even up in Indiana, where I'm originally from, we get tornadoes up there. So you want to watch that during the spring. I mean, if you can avoid driving through there during that time, I think Jen will suggest that you do that because that's where they got stuck that first year. But every state has tornadoes, as John just said. I see. It's just there's certain areas that have a little more, and Dixie Alley and there are seasons fall.
Like Georgia, Alabama area,
in Florida, down in Florida. It's just more prevalent then. So RVs and tornadoes don't mix.
Not at all.
So you just want to try to avoid them if you can, and like as John pointed out, it's all 50 states. It's not like you can avoid them all the time, but why go somewhere that it's happening a lot more and you have a better chance? Exactly.
And in the other states, watch the weather, know the county you're in, have a go bag prepared, know where you're going to go.
And know the storm shelters. Know where the stuff is. Hurricanes are actually a little easier to deal with because you've got wheels. Just go.
Go. And go early. Don't dilly-dally. Because the highway's going to get crowded once people start leaving, and an RV's big. You're not going to be able to change lanes quickly and maneuver and get a little further ahead. If they say it's coming, just leave.
We've done that in our cars living in the area, and we've done that in our RV. We were like, well, we'll just leave for them. We had a monthly and we just left for the weekend. And we said we'd come back and help if they got hit. Thankfully they didn't get hit, but I'm not going to write it out.
Yeah.
I've sat through hurricanes before, unfortunately. And that's not something I want to do in an RV.
Right. So yeah, use your wheels. Don't feel silly. Cause we felt a little silly. The park we were in had a lot of permanent residents, and they're like, oh, we had, we've had storms through here and they never hit. And, it's not a big deal. And we're like, well, that's you. I'm leaving. And so we packed it up and left. And Kim has another good point. Once people start moving, everybody goes to get gas. And once the gas gets low, there's lines and it becomes a hassle. So again, just if it's coming, just roll on,
Yeah.
It's unfortunate your vacation or your trip might get cut a little short, but it's better than being stuck there and having to deal with it.
Having to deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the last little thing. So let's recap here. We have fear number 1 is leaving family and friends, and you have ways to deal with that through social media. You pick up your phone, you send postcards and photos to them, get them to travel with you. There's a whole bunch of different ways to figure this out. And if you're just joining, there will be a replay so you can watch all of that again. So you can catch up. And then number 2
is breaking down and repairs. So keeping your RV in good repair, making sure you're up on maintenance, understanding that it could happen to anybody, and that, the chassis is usually pretty well done, but make sure you keep up on the maintenance, keep your tires inflated, keep your axles greased, make sure everything's ready to go. Carry some tools so that you can fix things yourself as much as possible, because that'll save you a lot of hassle. And use YouTube to find out how to fix things, because almost anything can be figured out on there. And roadside assistance plans work great, but give yourself extra time when you're headed somewhere, because life happens, and it always happens when you're busy making other plans.
All right. And then number 3 is storms and other weather. So this is a lot of it's just being prepared, knowing about the storms, watching the weather so that you are prepared if something is going to come in. If they talk about it, it's the right type of storm that's been producing tornadoes in the neighboring state, that you will have that information, know where your storm shelters are. Let's see, pull off if you're driving. There's no reason to risk it. You can bring in your awning.
Disconnect from shore power. Protect your RV as much as you can.
And be ready to leave. Have that go bag prepared so that you can go to a storm shelter if needed, or get out of the way. If there's a hurricane, just leave. Right.
And John also made some good points. Hail is a huge problem.
Yes.
Especially with RVs. We've got thin, fragile roofs. We've got plastic skylights. It can hurt you as well. And
Airstreamers don't like it because it really
dings up their RVs.
Their RVs.
But hail happens, and it happens to RVs. It's hard to avoid. So again, it's watching the weather, trying to figure out, can you get your RV underneath the gas station cover or something? Sometimes you're just going to have to deal with it. Fortunately, knock on wood, knock on laminate, all the hail we've dealt with has been very small. But we do avoid certain areas. We used to live in Texas, and we know when, Texas gets some nasty hail down there. So at certain times of the year, we might avoid certain areas. But again, it's hard. I'm sorry, the coyotes just went crazy. There's coyotes here in Tucson.
I don't even hear them. He has crazy hearing. But
and if you're out in the desert, again, this is from John, the I forget what your title is, John. I don't want to say it wrong. I'm trying to scroll back. But he knows his stuff. He teaches his stuff. Flash flooding. Flash flooding is a big deal. Most of the places we go, it's all right. Ooh, he's been hit with golf ball size hail. Yeah, that would hurt. But if you're boondocking out in the desert, especially where we are, make sure you're not parking in a wash.
Yes.
Because even if a storm is 20 miles away and you don't even hear it, that wash can flood. So, be really aware of your surroundings. So John's a storm spotter. So be really aware of your surroundings. And also, if you are leaving an area and you do see water, don't try to go through it.
Yeah,
because it's always deeper than you expect it is,
Yeah.
So.
And he pointed out straight line winds are actually more dangerous, which is true.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we brought in our slides that time, because it was the straight line winds that we were dealing with.
And a lot of times it's not the wind that's so dangerous. It's what the wind's carrying. If the wind picks up a tree branch and blows that into you at 60 miles an hour, that's when it gets you. So yeah, that's some of the fears that people have full timing.
We know there's more that
Yeah.
come up, but it's almost been an hour.
Yeah, I know.
So we don't want to like overwhelm right now, but those are three of the common ones that come up a lot. I mean, we see it in the group. They come up there, and we just thought we'd go out and address those now.
Yeah, they're not as big as you think they are, as long as you're prepared for them.
Right.
And the more prepared you are, the less they seem to happen. You know, I have all these tools and I never get to use them.
So did this help you guys? Did it help at all? Like, you feel a little bit better about some of it? I mean,
Can we get a thumbs up?
Yeah. If you had any of these fears, does it make you feel a little bit better? I mean, hoping that hearing about some of this and knowing how to prepare for some of it will allay some of those fears.
Yep.
Because it's really knowledge sometimes really helps with all of that. If you do have that fear, you just need to really get in there and research it and figure it out so that you know ahead of time. You're prepared. You're prepared in the situation.
Right.
If you have scenarios that you can run. So if there's a storm, it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do if there's a tornado.
Right.
Or if there's a storm and it looks like there might be tornado, I'm going to go ahead and go to the storm shelter. Just so that you were prepared and you know.
Exactly. Instead of sitting there being prepared, you're sitting there thinking through what you're going to do, and all of a sudden that big fear gets a little smaller.
Yeah.
And you also realize that we're all out here, we all live this, and it's not that big a deal. Life happens. As long as you have a sense of humor and you can deal with it, you give yourself time to deal with it, you'll get through it, and it'll be fine.
We got a few yeses, so I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. So while we're here too, we wanted to touch on, because this is something that we talk about in the course, and we go into more in depth.
It's actually one of the very first things we talk about, because it is one of those roadblocks that is like, I want to do this, but I don't know, I'm kind of scared.
Right. So we wanted to kind of go over a little bit about what's in the course, just to give you guys an idea of what there is, because this was an hour-long talk, but there's so much more to everything.
Exactly.
So we'll your lens cap incident. John had a little bit of trouble last RV to Freedom Live. We went to go shoot the I just forgot
the meteor shower.
The meteor shower. Yeah. Thank you. Left his lens cap on. It happens. It happens to all of us.
Well, you got nice pictures of the dark sky.
Right. Really dark sky.
Yeah. So in the course, like we said, the very first module of the course, the very first section of the course is about the RV lifestyle. So we want you to think about why you want to do this, because we all have different reasons, and your reasons are yours. And those reasons inform all your decisions, to what RV you get, to where you domicile, to everything. It helps build your foundation for the whole lifestyle, really. And then in that same section, we talk about fears. So there's a lot more fears, fears like safety and being lonely, all different kinds of things. So we go through this and try to give you some tools and some tips and some understanding. And, in the private group, for students, you can share those fears with other people and realize we all kind of have the same fears. And once you do that, and you get to talk about it and ask questions there, and it really helps. Yeah. So module 2 is camping styles, and we go into the different styles because you may think of campgrounds as obvious. That's what everybody thinks. They think KOA because that's the billboard they've seen their whole life on the highway. Right. But there's a lot more out there than just that. So we go into the different styles of camping, traditional and at campgrounds, but the different types of campgrounds there are. Yeah. And we're not being off grid and using different places for overnight stops and where to stay. And we even talk about the pricing that is generally used across the board, so that you can start to plan out your budget and figure out how much it will cost you to stay at these places. And we'll give you some, some options that don't cost you anything. So you can be like, well, I want to stay in this place. It's really expensive. Well, I'll just stay over here for free for a little while. And then it offsets and you can average everything out. Oh, go ahead. Oh, and module 3 is preparing for life on the road. So there's a lot to moving your life from your stationary spot that you probably
a state that you might be moving to another state.
Mhm.
And that's part of moving in the RV. Maybe you stay in the same state, but there's still different things that you want to do when you move your life onto the road.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a house, where do you live? You know,
Right.
how do you vote? How do you get mail? All of those things. So we get into that in detail and show you the way that thousands of full-timers on the road do it every day.
Right. We even talk about banking and healthcare and insurance in this.
Mhm.
And that all kind of depends on where you choose to live.
Yes.
And fourth module is money matters. This is a big one that everyone wants to get into.
Right.
And we really start off in there. We get your budget going and we give you numbers too. So you're not just going at it blind. We tell you what should be in the budget for a full-timer and some suggested numbers to go by, but also how to figure out what you'll spend.
Right.
And it's going to change as you actually get out there and do it. But if you have an idea of how you plan to do things, how you'll travel, etc., then you can build in those numbers and get a better understanding of what a year on the road can cost for you, which is a big thing when you get out there and going.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to do it before we left, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't know, like how much do campgrounds cost?
Right.
So
how much do I budget for propane? I don't even understand why I need propane.
Right.
And we give you a sample budget in Excel, so you can go in and put in your own numbers, and you can, try to figure it out. And then, you can work backwards and try to, okay, well, that's my budget, and I can't spend more than this because that's what I make. Then, okay, what kind of camping do I need to do to reach that budget? Do I need to look at, membership
Just
programs, all kinds of options.
So many options. So we really get into that so you have a better understanding. And then we also talk about ways to make money on the road and ways to save money on the road.
Right. So we'll talk about tons of job options that exist for full-timers. And there's tons of stuff out there. There's tons of job boards and things. So it can help you find jobs and then, again, ways to save money as well. And then in the next section, we talk about choosing the right RV for you. So here we're talking about, what do you need? We'll show you lots of different systems that RVs come with.
I'll show you the different types of RVs.
The different types of
that
RVs.
How they apply to different ways of camping and things.
So you thought up front about, well, I want to do this kind of travel. Well, then we'll show you some RVs that are better suited for that kind of travel. So you don't just jump right in, buy the RV, and then turn around and realize, wait, this one doesn't do what I wanted it to do,
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So so the different types of RVs, and like you said, the systems, because there's a lot of systems in RVs that are different than what they are in your house.
And living in an RV, you have to hook up your own plumbing every time you go to a campground. You have to hook up your own electricity. You have to hook up on your own water. So it's a little different than a house where those things exist. You don't know quite how they work, but they work.
Yeah.
In an RV, you need to kind of know what they're doing so that it can help you make choices and choose the right RV that fits you.
Right. Nancy said it was one of her favorite lessons.
Yep.
She actually has taken the course. We'll be talking with her on Friday, actually. So if you want to hear what she has to say about it, you can join us then.
Yep.
But it is a good one because it's something that you just don't really know unless you have this,
right,
or you just get in there and start learning it. And even then, a lot of people don't know until they've really been doing it for years.
Or until you mess something up.
Yes.
And then you learn real fast.
Right. And then we get into shopping for an RV. So after you've kind of figured out what you want in an RV, then you should go shopping for it. And really, you should be doing it in that order. You should be figuring out what you need and what you want.
Otherwise, the salesperson is going to shop for you. And you may not be happy with their choices in the end. But we're going to talk about where to shop, all the different ways you can shop, financing, extended warranties, how to inspect RVs yourself before you actually hire an inspector, and then how to find an actual inspector to go inspect an RV, all the things you need to be looking for on RVs, especially if you're buying used RVs. There's just so many things you need to be aware of that can really make or break your whole experience.
Right. Right. And you're talking about financing and
Financing,
all that.
Yeah, the whole
extended
deal.
warranties, yeah. So tomorrow, too, we're just throwing out these shows while we're talking about it. But we are going to do another Facebook Live tomorrow, and we are talking about some of those things that you should look for when you're shopping for an RV.
Yep.
So if you are in the market for an RV, come back tomorrow.
Right.
You should definitely be here.
And then the next module, we get into the daily life of the full-timer. So we start talking about, what it's like to really live in these things. Laundry, kitchens, plumbing, how do you flush the toilet?
Yeah.
They're different. They're a little different. It's not that weird, but they're different. Toilet paper, make sure you get the right stuff. There's a lot of weird little things. And get ready, in RV life, you talk about toilets, you talk about black tanks, you talk about the sewer. That's just how it is. If RVers are around a campfire, it will
come up.
Yeah.
Black tank and solar, always.
Yep.
But yeah, there's just a little things that are different. There's a few things that are the same, but we just let you know so you have an idea of what it means to be a full-time RVer.
Yep. And then the last module is called Camp Like a Pro. So we give you a lot of the tips and tricks that people that are out here doing it all the time learn over the years. Trip planning, how to back in the RV without yelling at your partner or spouse.
Yeah, you don't want to be those people in the campground that are yelling and making everyone watch them.
Yeah, it's the best entertainment in a campground to watch a couple just yelling at each other.
You don't want to have to watch that. You don't want to be that.
Right.
So we let you know some ideas on how to avoid that. Some safety driving things, especially like mountain passes and all of that.
And setting up and tearing down tips,
And weighing your RV.
Yeah.
It's very important for full-timers. It's, you might be able to get away with it and when you're just a weekender, but as a full-timer, you need to know how much your RV weighs.
And make sure you're within the margins of the RV that you chose. And that's, your RV or your RV and truck, if you're doing a truck and trailer.
And how to match them.
Exactly. So when we're in the shopping module, we're going to show you how to look for those numbers. So while you're shopping, you can make sure you get something that's got enough capacity. But then when we get to the Camp Like a Pro module, we're going to show you how to weigh the RV you have after you've loaded it and make sure you're within capacity and, how to start throwing away stuff that you don't need.
And so that's what encompasses in the course. And we also have live Q&A sessions every week. So they'll be kind of like this.
Right.
But there will be more questions.
Except you'll be asking us more questions.
Right.
And we'll be giving you answers and not just talking
You'll have gone through all the material for each section. And then you get to ask us more questions. Anything that you are curious about. You can send them in ahead of time, especially if you aren't going to make it, because you can send them in ahead of time. We'll answer it on the screen, and then you can watch it later.
Yep.
Or you can ask us things live as they come up.
And there's a question, do we actually show how to set up the gray and black tanks as well as the water? Yes. There's videos of me doing it, and I'll talk you through what to do. That's another fear. That's another thing people get really worried about. It's really not a big deal. You do it a few times and it's fine. And one of these days you'll get your own story of your big dump day experience. I have 3 of them now. And they're your little badge of honor that you share around the campfire. But yeah, we do go into that. We do show you those things because it is different. You've never had to hook your house up to sewer before.
Right. That just kind of comes pre-installed. You call someone to set up the sewer if it needs fixed.
So what we say sometimes is RVing isn't difficult. It's just different. There's a lot of things that are different than a normal person's life.
Right. Yeah. And just because we love you guys, there are some bonuses for signing up this week. Because this week is the only time for enrollment right now. This course won't be again until like late spring, probably.
And the reason for that is we're doing the course with you.
Right.
We're not just giving you the course and sending you on your way. We're going to be in there. There's 8 sections. We have 8 Q&A sessions, once a week, where we help make sure that you fully understand the things that we're telling you and that you can ask all the questions you need.
Right. So the bonuses that are going to go along with this too, we have a separate pets module for all of you pet lovers out there. As we are, as you can tell, we said we had cats and dogs.
You've probably heard our dog snoring this whole time behind us.
That's true. Yeah, that's neither of us. We're not sleeping on the job here. But we do have a traveling with pets because there are some things that are unique to RVing that you should know. Right. And there's etiquette and safety and other little things.
There's places you can take them, places you can't take them, and different rules and stuff. And definitely the safety aspect, because there are some unique things that you may not think about, and we definitely don't want you to find those out the hard way.
Right. Right. Definitely.
Yeah. And then we also have a detailed maintenance checklist. So this, for all kinds of RVs, fifth wheels, travel trailers, motorhomes, it goes into all the things you need to stay up on top of, because, you've gone through choosing an RV, you've gone through shopping an RV, you've bought an RV, it's solid. Now you got to keep it solid.
Right. And full-timers maintenance is a little different than a weekenders maintenance, because we are using these beasts like all the time.
Yeah.
We're using them in and out every day. So you need to adjust the schedule. So we have it adjusted for a full-timer.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about that. We've done it for you.
And then one of the last things, because you're going to want to keep watching our live shows on the road, you're going to need internet. And I'll give you this one for free. RV park internet is horrible. Don't even count on it.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a permanent spot and the internet's good, you can't count on RV internet.
No.
So how do you internet in the RV? We're going to have Chris and Cherie from the Mobile Internet Resource Center. They are the go-to experts on this. Come into the class, into the private student group, and give you a presentation on kind of the state of the internet. So, what plans are available for you right now, because the plans change.
They change
all the
so
time.
much. We go into it in daily life of a full-timer, but the thing is that stuff changes constantly.
Right. If we wrote it down there, by the time you read it, it'd be out of date. So we figured the best way to do this is let's have experts come in and tell you what it is right now. Yeah. And that way, if you're starting out soon, then you can go ahead and start trying to figure out the plans, or, look into their resources. And they're also giving us...
They're giving you a full copy, a PDF copy, so a digital one, of the Mobile Internet Handbook that they've written. And they're updating it right now. So it's going to have be more updated. So you get a copy of that too, which
so that'll help you with thinking about, boosters and Wi-Fi extenders and all the pieces of equipment that can help get you more
internet setup, what you need.
Right.
Because you may not need a lot, but you may need some. Most people like to have something with them, even just for trip planning and things like that.
Yep. But we follow their advice. We're doing a live video right now, and we travel all over the country, and we do pretty well on internet most of the time. Sometimes it gets glitchy, and you guys see that. But anyway, the course, if you're interested in the course, you can find it at roadmap-to-fulltimerving.com.
Yes. And there's a pinned comment in this live right now. On the comments, the pinned comment has that link right there. So you can click on that.
And it talks about all the different modules and, all the parts and all the bonuses and everything. The enrollment does close Saturday, the 23rd at midnight. So
Eastern time.
Yes.
So that's midnight over there. That is 9 o'clock in California and Oregon, Washington. So if you're over there, just make sure you realize that. So don't wait till the last minute.
Right. And, get it for yourself for Christmas. Get it for your family for Christmas. If you have a parent that's looking to hit the road and retire, get it for them.
Yeah.
All the course material will open up for viewing on the 27th, and you'll be able to see everything all at once.
Yeah, you do get an intro right away so that you can go through this intro module and get acquainted with the system that the course is on, so you can learn how to navigate it and go through it. And we'll pop in on the 27th and welcome everyone, because you are also getting a private Facebook group with us and all the students who have been in it, and you get to stay in that, and you get all the course material for the lifetime of the course.
Right.
And we plan to have it out forever.
Right. So as we update the course, you'll get the information. As we have more Q&A sessions for other sessions of the course, you can always jump back in those if you have more questions as you go on. Unfortunately, you can't see comments on screen right now, but Nancy said the course is so worth it. It saved us money the first month they were on the road. We actually had some other people.
They haven't even hit the road yet, and it saved them money.
Yeah, exactly, because they had the RV and they went camping.
They're getting ready to. Yeah. And that's another point, just to let you know, too, because we've had questions if, who's it right for? Somebody who's leaving right now, somebody who's leaving in a year or two, or what if I've already bought my RV?
Right.
And we've had everyone kind of go through this. We've had people who have already purchased RVs, and we're just looking for the actual information on how to get out on the road. We've had people who've been on the road a year and and took it and still learned things that they didn't know about. And we have people who are planning to go out in 2 years, and I think even 3 years, just kind of building a plan and take it because they wanted to learn more about it and kind of do all the research ahead of time. So it's kind of any stage you're in, it can apply, but especially if you're looking to full time, there's going to be information in there for you.
And Bridget asked about the pet video. All the bonuses unlock 30 days after the course starts, because we do have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if once the information's open, if you look at it and you decide this isn't what I want, no problem. As long as you look like you've actually looked at it, that's fine. And then 30 days after the course starts, all the bonuses open. So that would be January 27th. All the bonuses will become available. There'll be a course. There'll be the Traveling with Pets bonus. There'll be the maintenance sheet, and then Chris and Cherie's book will become available, and then we'll have them come in. They'll
come in during the daily life of a full-timer.
Exactly, when we get to that section. So
it still makes sense. Like you'll get that, but everything like that.
So that's it. Again, the course is at Roadmap to Full-Time RVing. And tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about some of the things you need to look for when you're shopping for an RV, new RVs and used RVs.
Right. And this will be at the same time. It's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Just give you a kind of range there. And then Wednesday, we're going to talk to Jenny and Bill from the 365 Escape. They were the ones that were actually out on the road almost a year before they took the course. And we're going to discuss with them kind of their journey in RVing and how they started out and kind of even into taking the course and where they are now. So they've changed RVs. They've kind of changed a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So we'll see what they've done. Thursday, we'll have a Q&A. Just anything about the course, anything related to that you want to know. We'll just be here to answer questions.
Yep.
And then Friday, one of our people, they're on here. Nancy's already on here. She's going to be on.
Nancy and Steve will be on, and they took the course. They have their RV, but they haven't gone full time yet. But they've camped with it a little bit, and I think as they said, we saved them some money right up front. So I'm sure they can tell us about that.
And then Saturday, we're just going to have a nice fireside chat like RVers do. So, come in with questions. Let's just chat and talk about RV life.
Exactly.
And see what it is.
Because that's what we want. We want community. We don't want a one-way conversation. We want to make sure that, you guys are understanding what you need and that we're all working on this together.
Right. Because as we say, this isn't just a course, it's a community.
Yeah.
And so we do build a community and in the course and in our Facebook group for that. And then beyond that, we have the RV to Freedom group. That's the main big group. And we've really built a community in there too. Yep. You guys have built a community in there because y'all are awesome.
Yeah.
You've kept it just friendly and
helpful. Yeah.
And it's
you make it easy on the moderators so they don't have to go in there too much and do their work. So
and Susan says she looks forward to the live videos this week, so that's great. Brigitte will miss Christmas Eve this Saturday, which it is kind of a weird timing here, but this is it's a great Christmas gift. So Saturday is the hard one. But we'll be in, and there will be replays on all of it, so if you want to just kind of come back and watch, you're more than welcome to do that.
All right, so guys, I think we're going to sign off now. It's been a long one. It's been fun, though. So we will see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this replay of our Facebook Live show.
Join our Facebook community to participate in the live shows and learn how to live in an RV.
Go to rvtofreedomgroup.com to join the RV to Freedom Facebook group.
And to be notified about our next live videos and more, sign up with the link provided below in the video description.
We want to help you find your RV to freedom.